All right. So today, boys and girls, we're going to be talking about finding, dividing and finding problems, answers or quotients and remainders, and interpreting the remainder when I have a division problem within a word problem. So I'd like you to take a look at this very first one right here, where we have 83 divided by 6. Now, the highest fact the highest facts we have you memorize and know and have automatic recall of is like 12 times 12. So like 6 times 12. So what I need to do is I need to see how many groups of 6 can go into 83. And I need to get as close to 83 as I can without going over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I know in my head that 12 times 6 is 72 because it's a fact that I have memorized. So I know that 72 is close to 83, but I would say that I could get closer. So if I know that 12 times 6 is 72, but I'm thinking in my head that I can get closer to 83 without going over by adding at least one more 6. So I'm going to do 13 multiply 13 times 6. And I'm going to have to do some work with this, and that's okay. So 3 times 6 is 18. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So I get 78. I'm thinking I cannot go any further. If I add another 6 onto this, I am going to be over 83. So I know that if I have 83, let's say 83 cookies, and I'm going to bag them up into bags of 6, I can make 13 bags with 6 cookies in each bag. So my answer is going to be 13. But I'm going to have some cookies left over. How many cookies I'm going to have left over is going to be the difference between 78 and 83. So I can do a couple things. I can subtract 83 minus 78. I can count up from 78 to 83. Those are two ways that you can figure that out. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83. So I'm going to say 78 plus 5 is going to give me 83. So my answer to 83 divided by 6 is 13 with 5 left over. So if I think of it in terms of the cookie problem I was just saying, let's say I have 83 cookies and I'm going to put them into bags of 6. I would have 13 full bags of cookies that have 6 cookies in each one, and I have 5 cookies left over that cannot go into a bag of 6. Okay, let's take a look at another one. 28 divided by 5. So in this one, I am going to say to myself, how close can I get to 28 in groups of 5 without going over? So I want to take 5, and I'm going to use my knowledge of my facts and get as close as I can to 28 by multiplying without going over. Groups of 5. So if I know in my head that 5 times 4 is 20. So let's start there. 5 times 4. That is 20. But if I add another 5, I'm going to be able to get closer to 28 without going over. So I'm going to try 5 times 5 and get 25. Aha, that did not go over 28. So I'm thinking 5 groups of 5 is going to be my answer. Because if I add another 5 on, that's going to take me to 30. So I'm going to say I can make a 5 here. Now I'm going to take the 28 that I had. I'm going to do this a little different than I did up here, and I'm going to subtract the 25 that I was able to make, and I'm left with 3 left over. So 5 groups of 5 gives me 25. And then if I take that 25 away from 28, I'm left with 3. So another way to think of that, if I didn't want to, I can leave that there, but if I wanted to show my work, I could say 25 plus the 3 gives me 28. Now, I want to show you visually drawing this out, what this looks like. So if I have 28, let's talk about cookies again. 28 cookies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And I want to divide them up into groups of 5. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to keep going like that. Well, here's 4. That's going to be a funny group. I'll just do that. Okay. There's 5. There's 5. How many are left that can't be put into a group? There is my leftover or my remainder. And how many groups did I have? I had 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. 5 groups. This is a group here too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full groups. So 5 groups, and I had 3 left over. So I've got my large number. I'm splitting it up into that many equal groups. How many groups can I make without going over, and what is left after I make as many groups as possible? That's what you're looking for. All right, let's take these and apply it to some word problems. So now we're going to interpret that remainder. Now, what that means is we have to look at the remainder and see what it stands for or what it's representing, and then decide what we're going to do with the remainder in regards to the question that's being asked. So this one says 32 athletes are going camping for the weekend. 3 athletes can sleep in one tent. Sometimes it's confusing if things are written in words, so I'm going to write that as a number. 3 athletes can sleep in one tent. What is the minimum number of tents that will be needed? So I have a total of 32 athletes, and I want to divide them into groups of 3. Okay. So 32 athletes, and I want to divide it up into groups of 3. So I am going to see how many, my question though is what is the minimum number of tents that will be needed? Okay, so 32 divided by 3. I'm going to do what we did just a minute ago, and I'm going to say, well, I know 10 times 3 is 30. That's really close to 32. In fact, it's only 2 away because 30 plus 2 is 32. So this answer to this question is going to be 10 with a remainder of 2 or 2 left over. Now, it says, what is the minimum number of tents that will be needed? Okay, so if I have 32 athletes and I break them up into groups of 3, I'm going to have 10 groups of 3. Okay, so let's picture that. Here's a tent, 1, 2, 3 kids in it. Here's another one. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But that's only 30. I have 30 kids accounted for. So now I have 2 kids out here who don't have a tent. I don't know if you can see my 2 kids who don't have a tent. So I have got 30 kids in tents and 2 kids without a tent. The question is, what is the minimum number of tents that will be needed? Well, I can't leave these 2 kids without a tent. So I need to get another tent to fill with those 2 kids. Will it be a full tent? No, because it could hold 3 and I'm only going to have 2 in there. But my answer is going to be, what is the minimum number of tents that will be needed? I need 11 tents. Because you can't leave 2 kids sleeping without a tent. Okay, so what I did was I solved the problem. I decided what my remainder stood for. And then I interpreted or made sense of if I needed to add another one onto here or what I was going to do with that remainder. And I did. In this case, I had to add an extra tent onto the 10 tents, full tents that I already had. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Actually, that's number 3, because this is becoming a long video. Okay, let's look at number 3. A teacher places 55 books onto shelves. Each shelf holds 9 books. How many shelves does a teacher fill? So I have 55 books, and I'm going to split them up onto 9 shelves. Each shelf holds 9 books, and to 9 books per shelf. So 55 books divided up into groups of 9. So 55 divided by 9. All right. So I have 55 books. I'm going to split it up into groups of 9. I'm going to use my fact knowledge to help me figure this out. So I know that 9 times 6 is 54. So 9 times 6 is 54. That is very close to 55. It's only one away. So 54 plus 1 gets me to 55. So I know I could never go to 9 times 7 because that would take me over the 55. So my answer to this problem is going to be 6, remainder 1. Now let's interpret that remainder, because the question doesn't ask what the answer to 55 divided by 9 is. It's asking you how many shelves does a teacher fill? Okay, so how many shelves does a teacher fill? If each shelf holds 9 books, how many shelves are going to be full? Well, 6 shelves are going to have 9 books on them apiece. Then I'm going to have 1 book that is on a shelf all by itself. That shelf is not full. So when it says how many shelves does the teacher fill, my answer is going to be 6 shelves. If the question had asked how many shelves does a teacher need to use, I would have to say 6 shelves that would be full, plus 1 more shelf, but it's only going to have 1 book on it. So it would be 6 plus 1 is 7. Okay, a couple things to remember. Never, never, never do you add the quotient and the remainder together. Okay, so you're never going to take 10 and add 2 to it to get 12 tenths. You're never going to do that. You have to think about what that remainder stands for and decide what you're going to do with it. Do you need to add 1 onto the quotient and make it 11, like this case? Do you need to kind of like ignore the remainder, like in this case, and talk about this as the answer? Or sometimes the remainder is your answer. If it says something like if it said how many books could not fit on the shelves, the answer would have been 1. I would have used my remainder as my answer. So usually when you're interpreting remainders, you're either going to add on 1 to your quotient, leave your quotient and just use it like that, or your remainder will be your answer. Those are pretty much your 3 options there. All right, I hope this helped. We're going to keep on working on division for quite a while, and so I know you're going to get very good at it. Enjoy the rest of your day.